The subjects,
Nice.
13 subjects that usually are a place where conflict will show up. Why would conflict show up over a subject area? Because two different people have different models of the world, different beliefs, different rules. Where do their beliefs and rules come from? Usually, the source of love they crave the most, as you've seen. What you try to be, what you try to become, and what many of you become is what you believe you needed to be for that source of love. Even that source of love is now gone. But you can shift that if the source of love is now your relationship, and you can do it for each other. Another reason there's conflicts, besides obviously different histories, different references, is both species come up with a different meaning for the same things. So the meanings, the histories, the models of the world are going to be different. So in the beginning, when there's chemistry, none of that shit matters, because as long as there's full polarity, you're going to think it's beautiful. But everybody, no matter how great a relationship, are going to have moments where the polarity's knocked out. You want to restore it quickly. But what will help you not knock it out is if we can come up with some agreements in advance about the shit that normally will be argued about for the rest of your relationship. What are the subjects? 1, money. Money as a subject can screw everything up. Why? Different references. So both my beautiful bride here and myself grew up with very little money, tough environment. Her mommy and daddy worked their asses off. You already heard. 8th grade education, busted his tail, built a small lumber business, built into something successful over decades. Unbelievably hard work, ups and downs. But she and I get together, and in her family, this is the standard. This is her mom. Everything in her mom's joy becomes from making a deal. It's like, sharpen your pencil. I've been there, right? They come in, the guy's doing carpet, he goes, well, I can do this and that, and he goes, here, I'll give you my best deal. Doesn't matter what he says. Her mom says, hey, sharpen your pencil. What is this? You gotta give us a better deal than that. And he gives a better deal. That's not good enough. And I'm over there cringing inside, because like, for me, give it to him. I grew up poor too. The difference in her family, the way they managed it, was managing costs incredibly well and being really smart negotiating and taking joy out of that. My father, natural father, my mom told me what a cheapskate he was since I was this tall. And of course I noticed it, because whenever we went out to dinner with anybody else, he'd always go like he'd be reaching for his, he never reached for his fucking wallet. He never paid for anything. He let everybody else do it. And my mom was humiliated, and through my mom, I learned to be humiliated. Why is my dad so cheap? It's embarrassing. It wasn't like he didn't give me money or something. That wasn't even a question. He didn't do it for anybody else. And to be fair, he didn't have a lot of money. He worked as a parking attendant underground for 45 years. But money is a charged one, so you've got to get on the same page. And if they're opposites, then you got to find that middle ground. So for example, I want to give everybody everything at Christmas. She wants to give them minimum cards and shit. And we found a middle ground more where we do a combination of things. Like, it's one that we, like this last year, we bought everybody around us like one specific great gift primarily. We bought them like a Peloton, for example, right? Like a Peloton track. Family couldn't even believe it, but it took years to get to that point. And also we do things spontaneously, which I love as well. And we don't have to do everything. It's not an expectation. We don't have to go crazy every single time. And so we find that balance to each other, but you gotta have clear agreements about where it's gonna blow and who has what roles. So kids and parenting. Kids and parenting is a huge piece. In fact, for us, right, we have different views about aspects of this. Not about the most important things. What do we want for our daughter? We want her to grow up knowing life doesn't owe you shit. Life is calling to you to give. We want her to understand life is a gift. And that we're here to give, not get. And she needs to have responsibility and work ethic. So we have a lot of unbelievably combined things. But then like, okay, we're having a child and we're not gonna tell anybody we're having a child. That's weird in my world. Because I tell everybody everything, because that's part of just being clear and honest and through. And for her, it's like, I'm a public person. I have been for decades, 4.5 decades. She's a very private person, as you saw.
And
So it's like, what does that look like?
And what we did, like what I did in that moment was, I knew that it could bring fireworks, and so I sat him down and I was like, "Hun," I said, "if you're open to hearing me, this would mean the world to me."
By the way, those are magical words because do I want to do things that mean the world to her? 1 billion%. I live to do what is meaningful for her.
And our life has definitely been public, and sometimes the media are not always that gracious. They can be really vicious. And I'm like, I just want to have this little one and just be like a mom. Like, I was from a small town, and I just want to have the normalcy of that. And who I would tell would be my immediate family, my dearest friends, and our beloveds in our life. And I don't want to walk that public path. I have no social media presence. I'll take over tones sometimes, and if I write something. But I said I don't want to post any pictures of her, and it would just mean the world to me for us just to be able to have this and have this containment and just be a mom and experience that preciousness. And you were so beautiful, and the same as this coming out party. Sometimes I might be a little slower than most.
No, you're not, sweetheart.
No, I can
But
be.
because she approached me that way, even though it's the opposite of my nervous system,
Yeah.
I want what's right for her. And I agreed with the part about social media. I don't want my kids' pictures also on social media and that. But what's beautiful was she knows I backed her 1,000,000%. So it doesn't matter that's not what's right for me.
Yes.
What's right for her is what matters to me. And I understand the sensitivities. I understand my life is public. She would prefer to be private. And I love her. And if that means that to her, then I'm willing and happy to do it. 3, sex and attraction. Different strategies for attachment, different strategies for what excites you, right? Different blueprints that you have. And this is such an important part of life because we want both our animal and our spirit alive. If you just make your spirit alive without your animal, you're not going to be fully alive. If you just make your animal alive without your spirit, you're not going to be fully alive. We need to do both. And so this is an area where if there's discrepancies in appetite or approach, you find a structure, you find a way of doing it, find a way to merge. And that's what this week has been about. 4th, time. So for example, my dear Mary B has something called Buckeye time. Buckeye time, she was raised, you get to church on time, you're not a minute late, you get to meeting on time. On time means early. My on time is when I get there. And when I'm there, I'll give everything, right? So it's like, but it's interesting. There's infill fly rules. Movies, on time is not quite the same as Buckeye time, right? So, but for Mary, so we, instead of being upset about it, we tease about it. I tease about if it's late or delayed, it's my water. I love my water. I want to have her time, right? But if we're going to do something, I said, if we get there and I work sometimes to get early to something, I'll look at her and go, Buckeye time. Right? And so we tease back and forth. Her time and my time are more aligned. Mary came from a more structured experience, right? But in Bonnie Pearl's time, eating was at a certain time. So once again, you've got to figure out, navigate. And instead of one's right, one's wrong, maybe there's a merger. Maybe there's situations where one is absolute and the other is not. You got to look at how you look at time. 5, we'll pick these up quickly. House responsibility, roles, or discussions. So a lot of times people go, why do I have to do everything, some woman said here. And then yesterday, John's like, I'm not going to make those arrangements for his tickets and shit. And then one woman said, so I do that. How many women do that? How many do that and like it? And about 3/4 of the room raised their hand. So it's the attitude about it that affects things most. If you have expectations from your partner, that's the problem no matter what the issue is, versus appreciation. My whole thing is I don't want Sage to have to do anything. She always will, but I don't want her to have to cook. I don't want her to have to clean. I don't want her to do anything other than what she loves. And when I had no money, I had that attitude. It's like, that's what I want to do. I see that as my responsibility to give her that freedom. But also I want her the freedom. She wants to cook, she can. If she wants to clean, she can, because she's going to. But in the early days, it was real, like going to Fiji, and the first thing after an 11-hour flight, and it's my wife, let's go have a beautiful breakfast, let's take in the environment, and she's got scrubbers on for 7 hours. And what I learned to do was surrender. She's going to do this. So I should acknowledge she's the cleanest person I've ever met in my entire life. No place in Fiji is as clean as ours, nor will it ever be. But then gradually, as you accept it, then often your partner starts to accept some other aspect. They come to it on their own versus being pushed.
Yes.
In our home, for example, she runs the home. She manages the team and the staff. She's extraordinary. She's a leader. My job is make sure I grow the businesses. My job is strategy, growth, expansion, marketing, impact, and delivery. Hers is designing the production of our life. She's the producer of our life. And we both pitch and catch, and she's unbelievable. I respect, love, and acknowledge all things she does that I couldn't do. Or if I could do it, I wouldn't do it well. And she knows what I do well. So it's not like you do this and I do that. It's more like, what are you good at? What am I good at? Let's find that. And if we're not good, let's get someone else to do it.
Yes.
And even if we are good, if we want to have some time, maybe we get someone else to do some of those things. 6, family, in-laws, religion. All right? You got to bridge these. And by the way, when you get in a relationship and there's all this chemistry, you don't know this shit till you go through the challenging times, then all this gets magnified because you're depolarized. When you got plenty of polarization, opposite energies, most of this doesn't come up. But these things are going to come up. So why not solve these right now with a fix-it-forever solution? Mm-hmm. The fix-it-forever solution on money is negotiate whatever you want, sweetheart. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but I think whatever you do, it's great. I prefer you don't negotiate with me present and don't make it where I have to negotiate because I don't want to negotiate. If I'm going to do it, I'm probably just going to do it. I might even give him a bonus. More, because my whole thing is I overpromise and then I overdeliver my promise, right? And so we find that balance. You know, the fix it forever with kids is your choice on this. You make this choice. I'm behind you 1,000,000%. I can ask if you want to, and it's not me asking like, oh, it's like you deserve this. You've spent a lifetime with me. As you finally get to be your mama, we're going to do it your way. If I felt real strongly about something, I'm certainly going to have the discussion with it. But why would I fight over it when we both just want the best for our kid? Yeah. Sex and attraction, time, house responsibilities, family, in-laws. Fortunately for me, I love her parents more than anything on earth. Some people don't always.
And I want to mention something here. A lot of times in-laws, you know, it's the trigger or the conditioning, or there's, you know, jealousies or frustrations or angry or whatever it is. Tone's mama definitely came in a different form and a different package than I'd had ever experienced in my life. And she stretched me beautifully. But my fix it forever is this frickin' woman brought this man into this world, and therefore I will love her. I will love her, I will take care of her, and I will serve her. And as a younger woman, when we first got together, it was like all my judgments of who she was and who I thought she was. And then I was just like, I'm gonna melt this woman. And what's so amazing is on her deathbed, who she wanted was me, which was unbelievable. We were there till her last breath. We held her hand, we loved her. And he's so beautiful with my parents. I cannot say enough about parents that have their charges or their judgments about who their mama is or who their daddy is, no matter what they did to them or no matter what they do to you. Get over it. Freaking get over it. The relationship skills and the stuck and the unstuck that you learn here, give that gift, because there is no greater gift this man has given me, the love that he's given to my parents. And I know there's no greater gift than the love that I gave his mama before she passed. That's the highest truth.
I agree 1,000%. So true. Next, we'll wrap these up. 7, friends. Some of you have friends that your partner does not appreciate or enjoy. Instead of like, but they're my best friend, what if you found out why? And what if you listen? And what if you're willing to see something you may not have seen before? I've mentioned some of you have a friend that I've known since my son Jarek was being born, so he's 38, known him 38, 39 years. He was there at his birth, but I remember coming back from a meeting one day, and I had like 8 employees in that day, and they're all standing there, my volunteers, saying, we can't work here if he's going to be here because behind your back he does this, he does that, and I try to coach him. So I'm still friends with him, but I talk to him once or twice a year over 38 years because he hasn't really changed much. So I'm still friendly, but I don't have him in my world. And Sage would tolerate and be sweet and nice to him. She's never pushed him away, but I just know he's not right for her, he's not right for me, he's not right for the environment, even though he's a good person, but a lot of good people, and I've known him for all these years. And I'm always kind and loving to him, but I wouldn't bring him into my world because he'll use it. How many follow? So it's trying to be honest as you can. 8, real quick. Health and wellness, drugs and alcohol, big one. I was talking to somebody the other day who just met somebody and very clearly made a very deep connection, this person. But then what happened? Very much like Joan, she's trying to figure out, it's overwhelming to me. Holy shit, and then she's looking, scanning for anything that was like any other problem that she's had in the past. That's what we all do. And this person's telling me, oh, but the person drinks alcohol. Well, remember, some people drink alcohol and it's a problem. Some people drink alcohol, it's not. Maybe you need to go a little deeper in the relationship first rather than just prejudging. But when it does come to health, wellness, drugs, or alcohol, you're going to have to find some alignment. And without the alignment, this will create huge conflicts in the family. And just going forward and saying it's going to be okay is not it. You got to come to an agreement. Are we just going to drink a little bit? Are we going to drink on these? What will we both supported by? And it's a deeper discussion. Because if you don't handle this, you will have one of those 69%, only this one will create real challenges. And in some cases, it'll destroy things. And you all know who you are. You got to be as honest as you can. But you also got to get in the relationship so you have enough to know that it's worth it, and for them to know it's worth it, to make some choices that might be different. How many of you have made choices in your current relationship you wouldn't have made without your partner, and they seem arbitrary or difficult, but you did it for them, and now you're glad years later that you made that change? I'm curious. Yeah. A lot of people, it's an evolution. 9, safety. Oh, this is interesting. So, as a man, most men want to make sure you're taken care of if there's a masculine energy for a feminine energy, whether it's man or woman. And it's important to us. So safety, though, the reason I got triggered on safety and driving is, so we had, when I met Sage, she had severe motion sickness, and I used to have like, $1.2 million worth of cars. And so I had these 5 or 6 great cars. And I got a brand new Bentley convertible, which is about a $400,000 car. And we were just dating, and she needed to drive because of her motion sickness. So I'm sitting on the side of the Bentley while she's driving, and I give her the car keys. For the first time, we come out of a restaurant, she goes, I gotta drive. I'm gonna feel sick. I go, okay, here's the keys. She backs it straight into a telephone pole. A brand new, I bought it a few days before, $400,000 car, and smashes it in a telephone pole and says, oops. And this is her favorite phrase. It's an accident. She goes, that won't be very expensive, will it? No, about $70,000, but it's not that expensive. That's the day I knew I really loved her. So then I had one of those, the old Hummers, the super wide Hummers, and we come around the corner first time, boom, she smashes the pole and breaks the mirror off the side. She goes, that road is not wide enough. So these are my backgrounds, and then safety comes up. So I want her safety above anything else. I love to drive fast. She loves to drive fast, as I told you the story. But now we're driving to the airport, and she's driving the Hummer. I'm in the little Hummer on this side, fitting in the little corner while she drives this monster Hummer while I'm holding my breath the entire time. And once she's going to hit because things are too skinny, like the road's too skinny. And she starts accelerating. She thinks it's cute. Look at the face right now. That's the face. She thinks it's really cute. She starts accelerating 70, 80, 90 miles an hour in a fucking Hummer, and we're about to go on an overpass. You're supposed to go at 30 miles an hour, and it goes up on this kind of an angle, and she accelerates.
Oh, my shoe. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Oh, my tissue. Thank you. Sorry, everybody was talking to me. Thank you.
Everyone was talking to me.
Sorry about that.
Did you accelerate, my pearl?
Yes.
Do you remember the day?
I do, very clearly.
And what happened?
You went a little cuckoo. No, you really did.
That's her description of me when she's driving 80 miles an hour on an off-ramp on an angle and speeding up more when I'm telling her, honey, slow down. She ignored me.
I'd never seen him lose his mind more, actually. Until this day.
What's that?
You've never lost your mind more crazy or cuckoo than that day.
Yes, and you drive very nicely today, don't you?
I do, actually.
I lost it because they said slow down, and she sped up, like deliberately the opposite. And I got so mad. Why did I get mad? Because I was scared she's going to kill herself. Well, she'll kill me too, but she's going to kill herself. And I'm the one in charge here to make sure she's taken care of, and she's insane.
An immature huntress, independent rebel. I can do this. You do it. I can do it. You speed. I speed. You know what I mean? Just immature stage of.
Not 85 miles an hour on the curve. Right? But that's what she did. So by the time we got to the airport, I was somewhat animated. And I was screaming. I was like, don't even get on a plane. We're going to Fiji to be together. It's a really cool trip, right? We got to get on a little plane in San Diego to get to LA to get on the big plane to go to Fiji, right? And I'll never forget getting on that plane. I don't think I was ever more mad. I was like, I'm trying to protect you, and you're ignoring, if I can't trust you at that level. I mean, it was felt like a break of the relationship. Because it's so important. I take care of her, and if she doesn't listen to me at all, and she's going to laugh about it, That created some animation. But here's what my wife did that was so beautiful. She saw underneath it that I wasn't just angry. She saw I felt like I couldn't protect her, and that made me insane. And if she wouldn't listen to me to protect her, it made me more insane. And she looked at me. I remember sitting together on this little plane, and she said, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. There's this rebel in me. And then she said, but I want you to know, in our relationship, I really do respect her. I really do hear her saying, I understand what your intent was. And she said, you know, what I can promise you is, in our relationship, I'll never get out of the car. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I'm never going to leave this. I'm here. I'm here for the long term. I'm here with you. And I trust you and respect you. I know you're looking out for me, and I'm really sorry. And it collapsed every problem in 2 seconds flat. Because it came back to us instead of the rules. Came back to our relationship. And the acknowledgement that our intent was really the purest. And over the years, I've asked her to drive more safely, and you actually have, honey.
I really do.
You really do today.
Thank you for
It's
acknowledging.
amazing.
Thank you for noticing.
I do notice.
I appreciate it. That's meaningful.
I know it's meaningful. It's meaningful to me, too, that you drive safely now.
Thank you, John.
She always drove safely if an animal's going by, like we're driving 80 miles an hour. Stop! Go through the windshield, but we saved the squirrel. So now she drives more slowly, which is really nice, and I'm appreciative. 10, work and work ethic. Well, you heard this with my son, so I won't repeat the story, right? Everybody's got an idea. My wife cannot stand a man who doesn't have work ethic. If we go to Fiji, I love Fiji. The Fijian people are some of the most loving people in the world. We have about 125 staff that take care of a maximum of 40 guests. Why is that? Because it takes 125 Fijians to take care of 40 guests. Because Fijians don't work unless they want to. So they only work if they're enjoying themselves, which to me is kind of cool. But when she came, and tell them what you'd be like when you'd see Kula sitting over there supervising nothing, Bunny Pearl. What would be your reaction to the team there?
Oh, I'm sure they wanted to lovo me and like put me in that ground and smoke me. I'm sure of it, because
Right?
yes, yeah.
Because her daddy and her mommy have such intense work ethic. Fortunately, so do I. So we respect each other. I don't want her to have as much work ethic as she has, but I need to have it. But I respect that, and she respects it in me. But if she sees a man without work ethic, she like despises men like that. Can't stand them. So I had to explain to her that it's a different culture, and we can put 6 people to screw one light bulb, and it's okay because they make everybody feel so loved when they go there. If you go to Namale, as beautiful as it is, there are many beautiful places in the world. It's a beautiful place. But the most beautiful thing is the people are so loving and nurturing. So it's a different outcome. But see, she's so loving and nurturing, she takes that as a given. You can still work. But it's a different culture. So again, you have to understand and find how do you balance that out, which you've done a great job of because I don't take you to Fiji anymore. 11. Communication and meaning, VAK. That's like we talked about earlier, right? Some of you, when someone starts talking louder and faster, like it's my job to figure where those pieces are. So visual, auditory, kinesthetic are different tempo. Visual is like talking like this, at this tempo like I'm doing right now. And it's louder and faster, and you use words like picture this, examine this, look at this. Auditory has a different resonance. It's a different tempo. I hear what you're saying. That sounds right to me. And then there's people that are more kinesthetic, and they speak at a different tempo and talk quieter. They use words like, it doesn't feel right to me. I don't have a sense it's true. And these people are good people, and they drive me insane. I'm all 3 people. How many are all 3 people? But you tend to develop one. So in your dirty dozen, sometimes it's not even what's being said, it's the way it's being said, and you're just not realizing it doesn't translate for your partner. Okay, last 2, 12, arguing and fighting styles. Some of you, we're here to resolve this now, right? Which attachment style is probably that? Which one? Attachment style, which one? Anxious. And if you add wood to it, then it gets even more intense. Oh yeah, you guys know that. But if you can see that, then you can decode it and go, they're not aggressive with me, here's what's really going on. But some of you want to avoid. And so what I learned in the beginning with Bunny Pearl is my style was to accelerate the intensity, and my parents use words, I use words. And then if she fought me on it, masculine and masculine, depolarization, and then I would use certain words. And those words were hurtful to her. When I saw they're hurtful to her and she expressed they were hurtful, not I was wrong, it's like, okay, I gotta ban those words from my vocabulary. And by the way, by not using the words, I didn't amplify the emotion after a while. We went through day after day, after week, month after month of insanity, and I had to learn to get better and better at that. But when I saw it made a difference for her, then my fighting style changed. And now there isn't a fighting style, now that we tease each other. Like you've seen us here. The reason I'm doing the way we did this right now is you're also seeing us, we didn't have a plan here, we're just naturally bantering. How many of you enjoy watching this bantering? We're trying to show you a model of how to get energy out and be playful and still be totally in love. And lastly, 13, habits and maturity. Some people's habits really get in the way of what the other person likes. Like they only brush their teeth twice a day instead of 3 times a day. What the fuck? Or they don't make as much money. They ride big ass waves, right? That's immature by one point of view. Someone else will say it's pretty immature to go work your ass off and not have fun and enjoy your life. So this is where you start looking at habits and saying, that's their habit, that's okay. That's okay, that's different than me. I love them. If that makes them happy, then that's what they should do. And that's part of where maturity is. You're not trying to make your partner be a certain way. I have a great respect for Byron Katie. She's a friend of ours, and I do some of the same tools. You know, somebody counted one time, I was doing a date with Destiny, and a woman stood up, was suicidal, and one of the trainers in the back counted. I asked 167 questions before I made my first statement. 167 questions to shape her and get where I needed her to be, to have the breakthrough and to understand it all. So it's like inquiry is not a new thing for me. But when my wife went to Katie, number one, Katie's beingness is so beautiful, and they identify, they love each other. And so she went to a class with her and came back and wanted to instruct me in the 4 questions format and how helpful that would be for me. Go tap or go to these 4 questions. You need to do these 4 questions. Can you imagine how that conversation went? How many think it went well? No, you gave us too much credit. Today it would go well. But for her, sitting and writing it down matches her model of the world, and she is religious at it. She is exquisite at it. She pulls herself out of negative meanings. She puts herself in positive meanings better than anybody I know, and she takes more responsibility than any human being I know. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke, it's just the real truth. If you want a model of somebody who's conscious and questions their own thoughts when they're there, sitting right there, and she lives it. So there's a huge sort of hand. If I were you right now, I would give that thing. I want something just like this. And so here's what I want you to get. The reason on the last day, when you have all these beautiful feelings, we're going through this, because these are the things that'll fuck it up. How many get it? So what we should do is not wait till we're in stress and we're in survival, and then you're not going to solve it. We should figure out right now which of these are there. So not just yet, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to look through and circle which are the ones that you guys have consistently had conflicts about. You're going to circle them. There are probably 3, 4, 5. Some of you have all 13. And what I'm going to ask you to circle the 3 you currently have most conflicts in, or if you're single, look at your last relationship. What were the conflicts that showed up, all right? So first you're identifying the category. Then the next thing I want you to do, what was the positive intent of your partner? Like my wife's intent there was not to tell me what to do, it was to get closer. How many follow? So you're gonna look, what was the positive intent of your partner? Describe what you think the challenge is for that person, as if they're from another planet. Look at it without a charge. Like what are they really wanting out of this? What's behind? And if you don't know, it might be worth asking them. And also hallucinating with good intent, not hallucinating because they're an asshole, not hallucinating because their mama, spoiled them. Not the shit you do when you're judgmental. You cannot influence somebody when you're judgmental. So when you're doing this, if you're judgmental, it's already over. It's like, what from their parents may have they learned from this? What may have they reacted from? What happened from their past relationships? And then once you understand that, what's the solution? What's a new system or a new rule or a new standard? You fight over the dog. Who's going to do? Okay, from now on, this is how it's going to be. I take the dog in the morning. You do it's simple. You come up with a simple solution you both agree on, and you just keep it. Or from now on, you can do your questions, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to come together, and we're going to love the hell out of each other. So you still make it so the outcome is hit, but you just change either the system or the rule or the standard of what you do.